Yesterday, he told us how to spot a cheater. Today, how to catch a liar. Dr. Phil, the human lie detector, is here with some tricks of his trade that we can all use. Good morning, Dr. Phil.
Good morning. You know, people lie a lot, so you got to be on your toes.
All right. So are all lies bad, though? Isn't it okay to tell a little white lie?
Listen, when you look at the research, you got to look at what people define as a lie. The most dangerous lie and the most difficult one to spot, for example, is the lie by omission. When you leave out a material fact, that's a lie just as big as anything you could say that's wrong.
There are some myths, you say, regarding catching a liar. What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, first off, there are a lot of myths out there. People talk about you look up to your left because that's where you do invention and construction. Frankly, those things really don't bear out. I mean, the research just doesn't support that. What you can do, and I think it's very important, is to remember that, number one, sometimes you've almost got to help a liar by being in denial. I mean, come on, you got to tune in and trust your gut instincts. And you also have to pay attention to just the common sense of whether something is lining up and making sense. If you want to know if you're getting the truth, ask specific questions, for example.
For example?
Well, if you want to know whether if your kid was smoking dope, for example, then you need to specifically ask, are you now or have you ever done that? Don't just like, what do you think about it? You don't be general, you be very specific.
And you say if that doesn't work, you should change the subject?
It's interesting. You got to do what we call baselining. You talk to somebody and see how they're behaving. Change to a safe subject, and if they become more fluid in their motions, if their breathing gets more regular, then all of a sudden, wait a minute, they were aroused when I was talking about that, and that's what a polygraph operator picks up on. When you ask somebody something and they lie, their blood pressure goes up, their heart rate goes up, their respiration gets shallow. Liars often breathe through their mouths. They purse their lips because they need more oxygen because they're in arousal. So, pay attention. If you change the subject and they get more relaxed, they get more fluid in their motions, and you go back to the subject and all of a sudden they stiffen up, they start breathing, they color up, then okay, they're aroused here, they're hiding something.
Never would have thought of that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Then you say look for clarity.
Listen, clarity is important. When people are telling you the truth, they'll look you in the eye, not too much or looking away, they'll look you in the eye, and they'll tell you the truth. But when people are lying, they get over-emphatic. For example, I did not do this. We heard that.
I did not have sex with that.
Well, I was going to let you say that instead of me. But, that's exactly right. They're over-emphatic, and they won't realize that. They'll oftentimes, they won't use contractions. They'll say, if they're not lying, they'll say, I wasn't there. But if they're lying, they'll say, I was not there. So listen, if they get more emphatic and drop contractions, they don't like using personal pronouns, I, me, because they don't want to own the lie. So they'll try to use intransitive verbs and just kind of put it off like, oh, it didn't happen, instead of I didn't go there.
And are they repetitive?
They are repetitive. Oftentimes a liar, because they don't want to go too far afield, will repeat your question back to you. They'll say, did you drive over there last night? I did not drive over there last night. They'll repeat it back to you. And liars are often too rehearsed. They've got a story, and they'll repeat key phrases over and over and over across time. It's really common sense. If you dial into this, you trust your gut instincts. Don't worry about all of these myths. Look at things like eye contact. Do their pupils contract? What's their breathing like? Do they behave differently when you're on a safe subject? It's not that hard. Moms are really good at this when you're talking to the kids. Yeah, you guys are betazoids. You have this little feeler out there. It's really common sense. And we kind of can be human polygraphs if we give ourselves time.
Thanks, Dr. Phil.
All right, see you.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.